Hey there everyone, this is Michael Dougal, your Toronto real estate resource, and in this video I'm going to take you through Toronto and show you some of the cheapest properties that you can find out there in the marketplace today. This is based on recently sold properties, and we're actually experiencing one of the slowest springs that we've had over the past decade. Usually we see prices peak in the spring and then prices peak again then in the fall, but what we've seen so far this year is that in February prices really seem to have peaked and the average days on market was a lot less than what it is right now. And within the past month, the number of active listings has absolutely skyrocketed. We've seen between 40 to 50% more active inventory out there for purchasers. So this really couldn't be a better time to purchase a property, given that it's most likely that interest rates will be coming down within the next couple of months, and with decreased interest rates means more buyer competition. I'm going to take you through Toronto. We're going to look at 5 properties, with the third one being my favorite. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. If you are considering buying or selling, call me. And if you're a real estate agent looking for a great brokerage, definitely reach out to me to learn more about eXp Realty. And let's go ahead and take a look at the first property here, which actually sold for only $715,000. And this is in Toronto. This is actually by Dufferin and Rogers. We do have a parking space, though we don't have a garage. There is no basement. There's basically a crawl space, so not necessarily a livable area, but we can see here it's a 2-story home, 2 bedrooms, 1 washroom, 125 feet deep lot. That's not too bad, and it was listed for $599, so it actually sold at 119% of its asking price. And this next property here is in East Toronto. It's actually in Malvern area, so that's by Nielsen and Finch. And this property actually also sold at 119% of its asking price. It was listed for $699 and it sold for $835,000, so a little bit higher of a price, but we can see here 3+1 bedrooms. It has 2 washrooms. This property actually does have a garage, and the lot size is decent, about 20 feet by 107 feet. And looking at the pictures here, it looks like a great home for a starter family, and it doesn't seem to need that much work, whereas the majority of listings you're going to see around this price range do need a considerable amount of work. Third property is on 6th Street. This is by Islington and Lakeshore, and this actually sold at $688,000. So this home did actually sell under its asking price. It was listed for about $725 and sold in 24 days. So this is one of the many advantages of purchasing a property now, is that it's not always going to be likely that you're going to be in bidding wars. You can actually have some negotiation power and be able to make an offer with the conditions that best fit your needs. This was a 3-bedroom, 2-washroom home in Toronto W06, New Toronto, which I've always felt is a somewhat undervalued area, considering that it's so close to downtown Toronto. It had an unfinished basement, but what's interesting about this property is that you're surrounded by a lot of custom built homes, so a lot of multi-million-dollar properties, and it's always good to be the worst house in the best area versus being the best house in the worst area. This next property is by Morningside and Lawrence. It doesn't have a garage, but it does have a carport, which definitely does add value. It's a 3+2 bedroom, 2 washroom home, sold for $751,000 and only 3 days on the market, so it sold at full asking price. And this is a bungalow, so a 1-level home, but it's actually a semi-detached bungalow, which you don't come across too often. And this next property here is by Lawrence and Black Creek. It's a 2+1 bedroom, 1 washroom. It sold for $805,000, but take a look at this. It was listed for $850,000. So it sold quite a bit under asking price, but it did sell within a week. I like to think maybe if the seller was a bit patient, they could have been able to get their price. And it's a detached 1.5-story homes. Usually the 1.5-story homes in Toronto are older. This property is between 50 to 100 years old as it's listed. But something great is that it sits on a 50 by 110 feet deep lot. So looking at these homes here, you can see that maybe if you want to purchase a property, you don't have to leave Toronto after all. It may not be worth buying a property 1 or 2 hours away from Toronto, given that you can actually buy something decent under $1 million. And if you are in the market to buy or sell, make sure to call me. And if you're a real estate agent looking for great training and mentorship on how to build your business, then make sure to reach out to me to learn more about eXp Realty. I thank you so much for your support and look forward to seeing you next time.